When we do things, we typically do them for a reason. Our reasons may be good or bad, but it's hard to understand what human beings do without understanding the considerations on which they act. Now consider a group of people who refuse to wear masks during a pandemic or refuse to vaccinate themselves against COVID-19. We can look at this from many different points of view, but if we're serious about developing strategies for combating vaccination resistance, we need to understand the reasons in the light of which a person fails to comply with public health advice. How one goes about grasping the rationale for behavior that strikes us as irrational or ill-advised is a tricky question, but there's little hope of success without input from the humanities. What's required for the kind of understanding we need is not empirical science, but what might be called humane understanding. And when I talk about humane understanding, I'm not just talking about the ability to grasp another person's reasons and their thinking. I'm also talking about the ability to make sense of another person's emotions, values, narratives, and lived experiences. The humane understanding I'm talking about is an exercise in sense-making, making sense of other people. It's also the type of understanding in which the humanities have always specialized. Imagine a historian who tries to study the past using only the resources of the physical and behavioral sciences. In much the same way that historians need humane understanding, the brilliant work of scientists today in developing vaccines needs to be supplemented by specialists in the humanities who can engage in the sense-making that I've just been describing and help us to understand non-compliance with public health advice. To suppose that we can get by without the humanities in the current crisis is to suppose that we can understand human beings without fully engaging with what makes them human, their ability to reason and make up their own minds what to do. And if that sounds unrealistic, it is because it is unrealistic.